Hi there, this is Ben Morton and welcome to another episode of Leadership Light. In this episode, we're looking at deadlines and at delegation. Several years ago, I sent an email to somebody in my team asking them to do a simple task for me. It was an important task, but it certainly wasn't urgent, so I added what I now realise was a very typical sentence to my emails. That sentence was, "There's no rush." The response I got from my colleague was surprising, it was relatively direct, and it was incredibly helpful. They asked me to provide them with a deadline so that they could prioritise this particular task in the context of all of their other work. So what does no rush or no hurry actually mean? And why, as leaders, do some of us use this phrase quite so much? Well, what we mean and the message the other person receives can be two very different things. The phrase "there's no rush" actually means that we're telling the other person that either the work is not urgent, they don't need to hurry, and that they can take their time. But what it doesn't tell them is how much time they can take. And even though we haven't shared a time frame with them, we will almost certainly have one in mind. And this is where the problems really start to arise. When that time arrives, when we start chasing them for the thing that we asked for an update or from a progress report, it starts to get a little bit sticky. But what's the impact of that stickiness? Well, the person on the receiving end may then feel defensive about being chased. They might feel like they're being micromanaged, or they might feel that they've let us down. They may even feel stressed because they've suddenly got multiple tasks to juggle that all need to be completed and all seem urgent. And as a leader, we're responsible for that. So what is it that stops us as leaders from assigning deadlines? In many cases, I believe the thing that gets in the way is the desire to be liked and to be a supportive leader who doesn't create unnecessary pressure. And while we've all heard the phrase, leaders need to be respected, not liked, I think there is a deep-seated human trait in many of us that means that we do want to be liked. In fact, one of the most common fears that humans have is being abandoned. And the modern day interpretation of this is the need to be liked. As leaders, we work incredibly hard on building strong relationships, on trying to be a good listener, on trying to be understanding and empathetic to the needs of those that we lead, all in the hope that those that we lead will like us and willingly follow us. But failing to provide deadlines creates a lot of pressure and stress. It generates the very thing that we're trying to protect our team from. And if we continue to avoid giving deadlines, it will gradually erode the degree to which they trust us and how competent we appear. It's not that they'll necessarily view us as dishonest, but they'll have a belief, born out of their own experience, that there is a deadline that we have that we haven't shared with them. So what's the solution then? Well, the solution is actually very straightforward. Firstly, set a realistic and specific deadline based on when the task absolutely must be delivered by. Avoid arbitrary deadlines such as the end of the week if that's not when you actually need it by. There is little that's more frustrating than being asked to get something to your boss by first thing Monday morning and knowing that they haven't looked at it all week. I'm sure you've experienced that. I know I certainly have in the past. And don't set vague deadlines such as close of play today, as that will mean very different things to different people. For example, close of play means 5:30 p.m. for some people. For others, it means 10 p.m. And believe it or not, some people will view this as first thing tomorrow morning. The second part of the solution is to ask if the deadline is achievable based on everything else they have to do. This is how we can demonstrate our empathy and be that supportive leader that we aspire to be. And if they feel as though the deadline isn't achievable, then we can have a conversation with them to find one that is, or to help them reprioritize all of their other tasks. That's it for this video, folks. Do remember to hit subscribe to my channel before you go. Take care, see you soon, and lead on.